And you at Walmart. First of all, kid, you at Walmart. I'm recording. I am. Sup, dog? I have never, not once, did Black Friday. Like, went to an actual store.
I used to work at Target when I was younger.
Look at all them damn people. Look at all of them damn people. Jesus Christ. God damn. And out of all these people, it's like a good, like, 20 of them on some cluck-ass intentions.
I worked there for about a year and had to work during a Black Friday. During that time, we actually opened on Thanksgiving night, I believe at 6 o'clock p.m. Just about all of the Target employees were scheduled to work that night, it seems.
What? So it's not Black Friday. What are you talking about? It's Black Thursday going into Friday.
Target was going to stay open all night and then again the next day on Friday. We were expecting...
Or you can merge the two days, Thursday and Friday, because it starts on Thursday and ends on Friday. So you can name it like Third Friday. Fridays. Nope. I don't even know what it would be called if you combined Thursday and Friday. Because it's not Black Friday. It's like...
Tons and tons of shoppers, and many deals were going on throughout the store. It was an experience like no other. I usually worked in the store as a sales associate and sometimes a cashier if they needed me. When I got there a short time before we opened, I had to park towards the far back corner of the parking lot, and we had a huge parking lot. I had never seen it so full. As I approached the store, I saw a line of at least 100 people waiting to be let inside.
That's crazy.
To that point, I had never gone shopping on Thanksgiving before, just in the early morning on the actual Black Friday. I was let in through an employee-only entrance, and then I clocked into work. I saw so many other employees, or team members as we called each other. There was a short meeting beforehand, and then some of the managers went over to unlock the doors. I started out the first hour as a cashier, and when the doors opened, I watched from my check lane as people came pouring in. They mostly ran to the electronics area, and soon, people were coming to all of the check lanes. We had just about every single check lane open, and I was busy ringing people up for the first couple of hours. I was only working until midnight, so it was not that bad of a shift. And because it was 6 hours, I would get a 30-minute break at one point. After 3 hours of being at the check lanes, at 9 p.m., a manager came and told me that it was time for my break. I turned off the light to my check lane and then headed past the many people inside and over to the break room. When I got inside, I sat down at a table and pulled out my phone. I had several texts and Snapchats from friends. One in particular stood out though. There was a text from a number that I didn't recognize. I was very good at having names stored on my phone as everybody that I texted or called, so I knew who it was. The text from this unknown person said, "When you're on your break, meet me at the back of the store." I responded by asking who it was. Then I responded to all the other texts and snaps from various friends.
You sound crazy as hell. You sound dumb as shit. Clucked as shit. Sus as hell. I'm not doing that. And by all means, Lord have mercy on my soul. If you go to the back Toby getting it. Toby is getting all the work. Sorry, Toby. So you better hope and pray to whatever God it is that you pray to, and hopes that they don't do this cluck shit.
Whoever had texted me before responded again, telling me to just come to the back of the store. I was really curious, but I had no idea who this was. I had several of my coworkers' numbers, and they were stored on my phone with their names. It was possible that it was another coworker, but why wouldn't they just tell me? I actually left the break room and decided to go to the back of the store to see who it was.
Toby! Toby! Your God ain't nothing now. You did all that praying. But your God not doing nothing now, huh, Toby? Oh, because why he do that cluck shit? Why he do that cluck shit? That's crazy. That's crazy. Update. From two videos ago. From this video. I was having trouble sitting down and being uncomfortable in the video because I didn't finish pooping. I finished pooping, but the next day. Now, I'm starting to work out again, and my body is sore.
What part of the back of the store I was supposed to go to, though, was not clear. Target is a large store, and the back can refer to quite a bit of space. I made my way through the large crowd of shoppers. On the way to the back, even though I took my name tag off, I was asked by about 5 people about things. Some asked where products were. Others asked me if certain things were still in stock or on sale. At last, I made it to the back of the store. I walked along it and didn't see anybody that I knew, and nobody waved at me or approached. I went back to the break room after that for the remainder of my break. Towards the end of it, the number texted me again. The new text said, "I saw you. It was too busy, and I will catch up with you after work at midnight."
Hell no.
I wasn't sure who this was still, and I didn't know how they knew when I got off. I texted them again, asking who this was. Then I went back to work. After I went back to work, I was moved to the sales floor from the check lanes. As I worked, I was able to check my phone a couple of times, but I didn't get a response from whoever it was that had been texting me. Soon,
You know what sucks? And kind of like a dick move? It's having all these TVs. I don't know if they are like, have their displays all the way up on brightness. But like, who's out here getting these dark ass TVs? Like, what the hell?
Forgot all about it and was very busy with work. For the next few hours, I did various things, and it remained extremely busy the entire time. By the time it was almost midnight, things were a little bit more calm, but still very busy. In that entire time, I didn't notice anybody that was strange or looking at me. I helped quite a few customers, but none of them stood out as possibly being the one who had texted me. When it was 12 o'clock, I was finally done for the night. I walked to the employees' hallway and clocked out. Then I left the busy store and walked out into the parking lot. There were still lots of cars all around. However, the area where I parked was slightly more open now. As I walked through the parking lot to my vehicle, I felt my phone vibrate. I took it out of my pocket and looked. There was a text from the same number from earlier. In the new text, whoever it was said they were waiting by my car. I was almost halfway there and could barely see my car from where I was. I noticed that directly next to my car on the other side was an SUV. As I kept walking closer, I got a little bit better view of it. I could see that the engine to the SUV was running, but couldn't tell who was inside. I had a really bad feeling about it and decided to turn around. Then I went back inside Target. When I got back inside, I went straight to the break room, and there were a few other people in there. I was going to maybe text my parents and ask one of them to come pick me up or something, but one of my best friends at work, Lexi, was in the break room. I walked over to her and told her about what was happening. She said that somebody had asked her about me earlier when she was working. A man had apparently approached her and claimed to be a good friend of mine. He asked her for my number and she had no reason not to believe that he didn't really know me, so she gave it to him. She said that he was tall, thin, had a slight beard, and shorter, dark-colored hair. From what she said, it didn't sound like anybody that I knew. After a few more minutes talking to her, one of the security people we had working that night came into the break room. When I saw him, I told him about my situation and asked him to go out to my car with me. He agreed, and when we left the store, the car was still parked next to mine. We walked closer, and when we made it within 50 feet or so of the car, it drove away.
Wow.
I was able to get to my car safely and then carefully drove home, making sure that I wasn't followed. There was a lot of other cars around, going to Target and other nearby stores, so if the guy wanted to follow me, it would have been pretty tough. But he didn't. I was really glad to make it back safe. When I got home, I saw that I had another text from him. He called me a curse word, and then I blocked his number. That made for a very memorable Black Friday. That guy must have seen me working earlier in the night, and maybe even one of my previous shifts at Target. He must have got my name from my name tag, and then told Lexi that he was my friend, and then got my number from her. I'm guessing he found out what time I got off and what car was mine, possibly from other coworkers. It really creeps me out to think about it. Luckily, though, I never saw him again after that.
Lexi ain't shit. Cut all ties and cluck her up. Just saying.
This story took place a long time ago. I was looking to buy a new TV, and when I saw the Black Friday deals at Walmart, I couldn't believe the prices. I decided I was going to go on Black Friday and get a TV. The store was opening really early in the morning, I think at like 5 a.m. On Thanksgiving, I didn't bother to go to Walmart early and camp out or anything. I had a normal time with my family and then got up super early at like 4 a.m. I got to Walmart about 30 minutes before they opened. What I saw was a large line of people waiting for the doors to open. I even saw somebody had a tent. I was a little bit worried that all of the TVs were going to sell out before I had a chance to get one. I got in the back of the line after what was probably hundreds of people in front of me. Some more people ended up getting in line behind me as I waited, and eventually it was time for the store to finally open. I heard some cheering up ahead from the crowd. Then the line finally started to move. At first, things were very organized, but then people started walking faster and there was kind of like a traffic jam. I witnessed a few people getting shoved a little bit and some people passing others before they got inside the store. I was by myself, so I was just trying to make sure that I didn't get run over and I didn't run over anybody else in the process. When I finally made it into the store, I headed straight for the electronics department, which happened to be in the back middle of the store. Unfortunately, just about everybody else was going in that direction too. I wasn't running to get there or anything, but some people were. I felt like if I was able to get the TV that I wanted, then great. But if I wasn't, it wasn't that big of a deal. I would get another one sometime soon. It wasn't worth going crazy for. It took longer than expected to make it to the electronics department with all the other people. When I got there, I could not physically walk close to the TVs. It was like something out of a movie. People were packed in like sardines, and I saw several employees trying to keep the place in order. I was slowly inching my way closer, maneuvering through the crowd without stepping on anybody's feet. I got closer and closer. At one point, though, I saw a kid, maybe 12 or 13 years old, grabbing a box of a gaming system off of a shelf. As the kid turned, I witnessed a man literally grab it right out of his hands. I thought it was the kid's father at first, but based on the kid's reaction and the man's reaction, I realized that it wasn't. The man quickly turned and then started walking away, and the kid tried to go after him. I saw the sadness in the boy's eyes, and I felt horrible. The worst part is that nobody else seemed to notice. It was literally chaos, so it was hard to see everything happening.
I mean, ain't nobody, on a regular day, ain't nobody really caring about you. You know? Not at Walmart, at least. On like a regular day, Walmart don't care about you. Walmart customers don't care about you. You know what I mean? The Walmart security or officers don't even care about you. They just there for the paycheck. So I don't feel nothing. Not sorry. I don't feel nothing for the kid. Like, first of all, kid, you at Walmart. on Black Friday by yourself on a regular day, niggas at Walmart don't care about you. What makes you think they're gonna care about you on the most savage day of the year? Oh, alright. You live and you learn. You know? I can't do nothing. I want to. I want to help you out. I want to get the TV back for you. But this is a stepping stone. This is something that's supposed to happen. So next time, when somebody does that, you got something to cut their asses up with. You live and you learn. It's a part of life. It never happened to me because I'm not with that shit. I've been camping out for 6 hours. And you gonna snatch something out of my hands? Bullshit.
They were pretty far away from me, and I decided to try and see if I could get to the man. He was now fleeing, visibly walking as fast as he could away from the boy, who was trying to get after him, but couldn't because of the crowd. Soon, the kid stopped going after the man and returned to what seemed to be his parents. I was looking back and forth between the man and the boy. The boy was with his parents trying to point out where the man had gone, but he couldn't seem to find him. I looked over and saw the man was now farther away. The entire store was busy with people, but this was the busiest part. I started to go faster through the crowd to try and cut the guy off. He didn't notice me.
Hey, what if like the kid had like some like superpowers, and one of the abilities he had was like being able to attach yourself to something, no matter what it is, like super glue, and instantly stick to it? What if he was able to like clamp on to the box of the TV and like just like stick himself onto it? You know, on some like how sticky Spider-Man webs is, or like some super glue. Like he just stuck to the box, and there's no way in hell you could just get him off of it. So now he taking that TV box with the kid attached to the side of it. Oh my God.
Closer to him, and after about a minute, I had made it within 10 feet of the guy. I called out to him, but the store was pretty loud with all the people. I maneuvered my way around a few other people and finally caught up with the man. I tapped his shoulder, which he actually ignored. Then I grabbed his shoulder, kind of turning him around. He looked back at me, already with an angry look on his face. He appeared to be in his 40s, had dark brown hair and an average build. I asked him why he took the game from the kid. The man said he didn't know what I was talking about, and he didn't take anything from a kid. Then he turned to keep going. Now I knew that he was lying. I stopped him, and then I reached for the gaming console that he held. The man was very defensive, and pulled it away, then in almost the same motion, shoved me so hard that I almost fell. I bumped back into like 5 other people, who looked at us very confused. I quickly got up and ran back over to the guy. He had already turned and was trying to walk away extremely fast. I started running, and when I got behind him, I punched at the video game, which he was holding with one arm. I was like an NFL football player, trying to punch out the football to cause a fumble. It worked, because the man didn't see me coming. I hit the game, and it flew out of the man's arms and onto the floor. My momentum caused me to run into the guy a little bit. We both went forward, as the video game now lay on the floor behind us. The guy turned around, and so did I. We started to go after it, but as we did, I saw someone else, a totally random person, swoop in and pick up the video game.
Oh my God! God damn! This is like football. Holy shit!
Then, that person literally ran off down another random aisle. The guy started to run after him, but whoever it was extremely fast and out of sight by now. They disappeared around a corner. The man then turned to me, realizing he couldn't get to the game, and started screaming and cursing me out. I gave it back to him a little bit, as we were both very heated. This lasted for maybe 30 seconds before a couple of Walmart employees approached us. I told them the story, and the guy told his version. His version was that he simply picked the system up off the shelf, happened to get the last one, and then I chased him down, tackled him, and tried to steal it. As we were both pleading our cases, it was like a miracle when I saw the boy and his family walking over.
Or run back the cameras.
Saw them, I called them over and told the Walmart employee this was the kid who had the game stolen from him. As soon as the kid started walking over, the other guy turned and just left. A Walmart employee yelled for him to come back, but he was already too far gone. The employees realized that I was right after a small discussion, but it didn't mean a whole lot anymore. The gaming system was gone, and so was the man who took it from the kid. The bottom line is, the kid didn't get it. It did make me feel slightly better, though, to know that the man didn't get it either. I talked with the boy and his parents for a bit, and they were grateful that I tried to help. They said their son had saved up his allowance and had mowed lawns all summer to save up to buy the game. They had also waited in line for almost 5 hours. It was a sad situation, but the kid seemed to take it pretty well. He would probably be able to get it in a couple of weeks. After we talked, I walked away and headed back over to the electronics. I had gotten so involved that I had basically forgotten why I had gone there in the first place. I slowly made my way over to the TVs, with there still being a large crowd. It was actually possible to walk now, and had lightened up just a little bit, but it was still very busy. When I got over to the TVs, I couldn't believe it, but they still had a couple of the ones that I wanted. I picked one up and then headed to the checkouts. It probably took another 30 minutes, but eventually I was able to pay for my TV and then leave the store. When I left and got out into the parking lot, that was very busy too. There were people constantly walking in and walking out. There were cars all over the place, both parked and driving. I had parked pretty far in the back, and when I finally got to my vehicle, I opened up the back door to put my TV in. It was in this moment when I heard the sound of a car driving really fast, faster than it should be in a parking lot. I looked to where I heard the noise. That's when I saw a gray sedan driving from the back end of the parking lot towards me. I finished putting my TV in the car and closed the door. The car then slammed on its brakes and stopped right behind my vehicle. I looked and saw the man who I had fought with earlier. He was driving the car. I quickly ran for my driver's door and opened it. As I was doing this, I heard the man's car door opening. I got inside as fast as possible and then locked my doors. Just seconds later, the man arrived at my window. He started pounding on it and tried opening my driver's door. He was yelling and cursing at me like crazy. I ignored him and just put my car into drive and pulled out. Luckily for me, nobody was parked in front of me, so I could do that. The man started running back to his car, but I got out of there as quick as possible, and the parking lot was so crowded that the man was unable to follow me. There was no doubt in my mind, though, that if he was able to, he would have. I drove back home and never saw the guy again. Looking back at that experience, I don't regret what I did. I'm glad that I tried helping the kid, and I'm sad that he didn't get his game. The man was just a really greedy person. But Black Friday shopping can get crazy like that sometimes. I've gone Black Friday shopping a few times since then, but never had an experience quite like that.
And that's exactly why I don't do Black Friday shopping. I wonder if Nighttime Time Spooks ever had any horror stories.
This story happened a few years ago on Thanksgiving night. I was 20 years old and in college at the time. I remember that a lot of stores were opening on the night of Thanksgiving, and they were going to be open all night. My family was hosting Thanksgiving at our house, but I was planning to go Black Friday shopping with my best friend Jennifer later. We weren't going to be waiting in line or anything, but we're still planning to do a bit of shopping. At probably like 10 p.m., when most of the people had left our family gathering, Jennifer came over to my house. She lived just down the street, so she could walk there. Then we took my car and drove down to the local shopping center. This was an area that had tons of stores and restaurants, all within short distances of each other.
Marketplace.
When we got there, it was packed. A lot of stores had already opened, and I had never seen it so busy at this time of night. We first went to 2 different stores that were close to each other and got a few things. We were going to go to a couple of more places, and it was maybe midnight by now. As we were leaving Bath & Body Works, Jennifer quietly said to me that a guy had been following us around. I hadn't even noticed. I started to look behind me, and Jennifer stopped me. She said that he was just a little ways back. After leaving the store, we walked along a sidewalk in front of some other stores on a strip mall. We entered a coffee shop that happened to be open. When we went inside, the man did not immediately enter the coffee shop after us. As we waited in line, Jennifer told me that she noticed the man in the first store that we went to. She also saw him in Bath and Body Works, and he was by himself and always seemed to be walking a ways behind us. I guess that Jennifer is a more observant person than me, because I hadn't noticed. I was too busy shopping. We both got some coffee and then sat down at a table in the back corner of the coffee shop. It was decently busy because of all the other shoppers out. Shortly after sitting down, we both witnessed the man who Jennifer had talked about entering the coffee shop. She pointed him out to me, and he came walking in and then made eye contact for a second. He was kind of short, had short blonde hair, and was thin. He got into the back of the line. After standing there for a few seconds, the guy then turned and started walking over to us. He approached our table and then said hi and asked us how we were doing. Then he turned specifically to me and asked me for my number. I told him that I had a boyfriend, even though I didn't. It was really awkward, but he seemed to take it pretty well. He just said okay and then turned and walked out of the coffee shop. We watched from the window as he walked out and then got inside a car. He did not immediately drive away though. As Jennifer and I talked and sat inside of the coffee shop, occasionally we looked over. The guy did not drive away and still seemed to be inside of his car. At least his car was still there. It was far away, but something about him definitely seemed suspicious.
You think?
After a little while, Jennifer and I decided to go to another store that was within walking distance. We left the coffee shop and then walked along the sidewalk back over to where some of the stores were. As we were walking along that sidewalk, we looked back just to be safe. But when we did, we saw the man get out of his car. He started walking in our direction. He was a long ways back, but it seemed pretty clear that he was going to keep following us. We kept walking along the sidewalk and decided to go into the largest store in that immediate area, which was a Target. It took probably almost 10 minutes to walk there, and the man remained a ways back walking the entire time. When we got inside of the Target, it was extremely busy. Soon, though, we saw the man enter the store after us. This was just really creepy. We looked in his direction, and I made eye contact with him again briefly. He looked away, acting like he wasn't following us. I wondered if he actually thought we hadn't noticed. I mean, I hadn't noticed at first, but now it was really obvious. Jennifer and I decided to leave. We were really tired of this creep trailing us. We walked through the entire store, trying to blend in with the crowd. The pace that we were walking at was pretty fast. We made it all the way around the store and back over to the doors. Then, we went outside, and we both just started running. We were basically sprinting, trying to make it as hard as possible for the guy to keep up with us. It took us about 2 or 3 minutes to make it to my car, which was not in the same parking lot that the man's was at. We both got inside, and then I started the engine and drove away. After leaving the parking lot, we got onto the road and did not see the man at all after that. We got back to my house safely, and I felt lucky that nothing had happened. We both couldn't believe how long that guy had followed us for. It was definitely one of the creepiest things to ever happen to me, and I'm glad that Jennifer noticed him when she did.
I'm glad, and I appreciate your friend for noticing the guy. Right? I'm not glad. I don't appreciate the fact that you did it, and it took you long enough. Because if you was by yourself, it would have been racks. You got a good one. Don't let it go. My thighs hurt.
I used to work at a smaller retail clothing store a few years back. We didn't have a whole lot of employees, and usually the store was fairly quiet. I enjoyed working there at the time, and I worked there for a total of 1 year. I was there for one holiday season, and it all started with Black Friday. Normally, we were open at 9 a.m., but on Black Friday, we were going to be opening at 6 a.m. There would be 5 of us working at once instead of the usual 2 or 3. We were having a sale, but it was not like a crazy sale that you would knock down the doors for. Nobody was going to be camping out outside or anything. We were more so taking advantage of all the people that would be in the area by opening early. We were located right in the middle of a large shopping center, and there would be lots of people in the area. I was working from open at 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. I got to work bright and early, and things were not too bad for the first couple of hours.
So, how much was the sale going for? Like, you said nothing crazy, so it's like, I've seen, what's it? So it's not 50% off, not 75% off, not 30% off. So probably like 3% off.
We were certainly busier than usual, but nothing that we couldn't handle, especially with 5 of us working. As the day went on though, the store got busier. I was mostly working at the registers and ringing up customers. Soon, it was time for my break. We had a really small break room that was at the back of the store. Back there was a hallway, with a bathroom on one side and a break room on the other. Inside the break room, there was just a couple of tables and chairs and a TV. When I took my break, I was the only person in there, which was expected. It felt good to get off my feet and relax for a little bit. I had been going non-stop for a while. Mostly, I just went on my phone during the break. But when my break was over and I went to leave the break room and go back to work, the door wouldn't open. I tried, and I just couldn't get it. I couldn't tell if the door was broke or if somebody was holding it shut or something. At that point, I texted one of my coworkers who was working. I asked her to come to the break room, telling her that I didn't know why, but I couldn't open the door. Then, I went back down and sat at the table. Suddenly, the door opened. I expected to see a coworker, but instead, I saw this random guy. He didn't work here, but I had seen him earlier inside the store. I remembered that. He was a big guy, probably over 6 feet tall, and weighing at least 200 pounds. He also had a beard, and took a couple of steps into the room without saying anything. I started to tell the guy that this was an employees-only room, and customers were not allowed. He ignored me and walked faster in my direction.
What?
When he got really close, I stood up and backed away. The way that he was approaching me was really suspicious, especially with him not saying anything. When I moved back, he started to lunge at me. There was an emergency exit there in the break room. Nobody ever used it, and I wasn't sure if an alarm would go off or something if I did. But now it was the time to use it. I ran for the door and opened it up. I didn't hear an alarm or anything, but it did open, and when I got outside, the man started to grab me. We both left the building and were in a side parking lot. It was a much quieter area to park, and not as many people were over here. The man grabbed me by both of my arms up near my shoulders. He was much larger than I was, and I struggled to get away. I started to yell, but he quickly covered up my mouth. I was struggling as much as I could.
In fact, that's crazy how you let it get this far. Jesus Christ.
But we were slowly moving farther away from the store. As we were getting closer to the cars, I heard my coworker suddenly start yelling. She was standing in the opening of the doorway that we had left through. We were now about 30 or 40 feet away from her. The man was trying to get me to his car, which appeared to only be about 10 feet away from us now. My coworker was yelling like crazy, telling the man to let me go. I hadn't seen anybody at all in that particular area of the parking lot, but soon some others showed up. When we made it to the guy's car and he was about to open the doors, I heard more voices. I briefly saw some people coming from around the corner and another person come out the door that my coworker was standing at. The man then suddenly let me go, shoving me away, and I fell to the ground. He then got inside of his car quickly and sped off. As he did, several people reached me. 3 men and 2 women had come from both around the corner of the store and from the break room. I guess the yelling had caused a commotion, and people nearby found out about it just in the nick of time. The man had gotten away, but multiple witnesses had already called the police. They had his description, and I was also okay and free from him. We went back inside the store, and after the police got there, I talked with them for a while. I got the rest of the day off work, and some time off after that as well. The police were also able to locate the man based on all of the information. I feel extremely lucky to have narrowly escaped what could have been a really bad situation. I'm really grateful to my coworker and to all of the people who stopped to help me. I haven't worked a Black Friday since.
God damn. I would have bit his hand or something. Jesus.
A few years ago, I went Black Friday shopping by myself. It was Thanksgiving night, and I wanted to get a head start on Christmas shopping. Plus, there were some really good deals. I had already sort of planned some gifts of what I was going to get for a few of my family members and friends. In my family, Thanksgiving and Christmas is a really big deal, so I had a lot of things to buy. I was at my parents' house for Thanksgiving, and I only lived about 10 minutes away in my apartment. At about 9 p.m. or so, I left my parents' house to go shopping. My plan was to only be gone for like 2 hours and then return to my parents. First, I went to Target and was going to go to Walmart afterwards. Both of these stores had already been open for a couple of hours. They were both also within like 2 minutes of each other. After arriving at Target, the parking lot was packed with cars everywhere. I went inside and saw that it was extremely busy. I wouldn't expect anything less on Black Friday. After browsing around, I found several things and ended up buying them. Then I left Target and headed to Walmart. That store was more of the same as Target. People everywhere and very busy. I spent about 30 minutes inside, finding everything that I needed to. I was very happy with how my shopping trip went, and I left at about 10:15 and headed back to my car. After I started to drive back to my parents' place, I was exiting out of the Walmart, and I was about to go back onto the road when I saw something. This particular area where I was driving was like on the side of Walmart. It was much quieter than the front, and much darker and not as many lights. I saw what appeared to be a female child wearing a bright pink jacket just sitting there on the side of the road. It wasn't like a bus stop or anything either, and nobody else appeared to be around. I felt like she might have been lost or something. It seemed like I needed to stop and make sure that she was okay.
No!
I slowed down my car and then came to a stop, and when I did, I saw her immediately get up and start to approach me. But now that I was close to her and could actually see, I realized that I was wrong.
Yeah.
This was not a child, but
Yeah.
a grown woman.
Yeah.
She was small, maybe like 5 feet.
I could have told you
Very
that.
short, and also young, probably in her early 20s, but definitely not a child. When I saw this, I wanted to just drive away, but I had already stopped. I rolled down my window, and she came like right up to it. She was wearing a winter hat and had long brown hair. Before I said anything, she asked me if I could help her. I asked her what was wrong. She said that she was stranded and needed a ride home.
Tough!
I didn't really want to give somebody that I didn't know a ride. She claimed that she didn't live very far, and then looked like she was going to start crying. I caved and said okay and told her to get in. I didn't think I was in any danger or anything. I mean, she was very small, and in my opinion, she was lucky that I stopped for her and not some kidnapper or something. I was more just annoyed, because it was late at night and I wanted to get back home. She went around and got in the front passenger seat.
She could be packing. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about... You was just about to pick up a child. You know the difference between a clucked child and a clucked grown ass? There's nothing. They're both cluckies. She could be packing some heat. She could have some... Man.
When she was in the car, I asked her where she was going. She gave me an address, and I entered it into Google Maps on my phone. I saw that it was just 7 minutes away, and that made me feel good. At least she wasn't asking me to drive all the way across town. We started driving, and she didn't say a whole lot. She mostly just went on her phone. We did make some small conversation, talking about Thanksgiving and Black Friday shopping. Overall, she seemed pretty nice and friendly to me. The drive went by relatively quick, but we ended up going into an area that I had never been to before and was not familiar with, even though it wasn't that far away. When we got to the neighborhood where the address was, I saw that it was in the rough side of town. There were streets with lots of houses on them, most of which looked pretty run down. At last, I got to the address and pulled into the driveway. I asked her if this was it, and she said yes, but after I stopped the car...
I wouldn't have went into the driveway. I would have just stayed right on the street.
She did not immediately get out. I was confused. She was on her phone, and it looked like she was finishing up a text or something. After a few seconds, I said, "Well, I better get back home now." She said, "Oh, yeah, thank you so much." She asked me for my name, and I gave it to her. Then she opened the door and started to get out of the car. It was at that moment, right when the door opened, that I suddenly noticed a guy sprinting full speed at me. He was coming from the side of the house, and I hadn't seen him before at all. He must have been behind it. I then looked to the right and saw another guy sprinting from the other side of the house. The only thing I thought to do was drive away. I put the car in reverse and slammed my foot on the gas pedal. I started reversing, and the men both reached my car. I hit lock just in time, but the front passenger's door was still open. The guy on the right briefly grabbed it, but I was a little bit too fast. He wasn't able to hold on, and when I got out of the driveway, I put it into drive and sped out of there. I saw both men running into the street. The woman was still standing in the driveway. I called the police as soon as I made it off of the street and reported the whole thing. Then I drove all the way back home. I'm really grateful that I got away from them. I know that the woman set me up, I'm guessing to get robbed. I regret picking her up, and I would advise anybody not to ever give a stranger a ride, and not to accept rides from strangers either. That is my Black Friday horror story.
You cluck ass. You're either, well, I don't know what's worse. Working at Walmart or any place, really just Walmart to be honest, at the most savage location on the most savage day. What's worse, working there or being a customer? I think both are equally clucked. I would have just left that last story. I would have just left her there at the side. Cluck that. You know what's crazy? The Walmart that I usually go to, it's like right across the street from like motels or like, I don't know how to really describe it. It's like one of those housings that's meant for people that don't really have places to stay, right? But like, so there would constantly be like people in need of like help, either money, financially, or physically, or just people that need just like homeless or just need help. And it's like, it's not a lot. It's just, it's every day. And I don't shop at Walmart every day. But the times that I go, and the only reason I go there is because it's closed. The times that I go, it's like, they're outside. And it's like, I would help them. But 9 times out of 10, I don't have it like that. And then also, I don't trust you. Like somebody could be plotting and scheming for months, weeks. And it's like, my God, I've watched way too many horror stories for you to be trying something. Like, I'm not gonna give you a ride. I'm not going, like, nah, I'm not going. You got all that. Oh my God. Sorry, not sorry. Keep it cool, keep it classy. And I love you. Stay happy. My family.